Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, December 20th. How's everyone doing today? Sterling with the news. That's an understatement. Morgan Stanley says market expectations for a rate cut in March are overdone. Well, it's still pricing in 6 rate cuts for next year. If the Fed's cutting 6 times next year, A, the economy's in the dumpster, literally. B, remember how there was a lag on the way up and everybody cites the lag? Hey, it's whatever you think of 6 months, 9 months, a year from the rate hikes to really kick in. Rate cuts do the same thing. They aren't instantaneous. Remember, in the market after the dot-com bubble, the Fed was cutting all the way down as the market kept tanking. It's not just a magical cure that, hey, they cut rates and everything's hunky-dory and back to normal. So if the market's pricing in that kind of stuff, it means, hey, the economy could go off a cliff. And FedEx could be warning the market could go off a cliff too. So, hey, Google, they're redoing their ads. Let's buy it. Sorry, it's still buy everything. Except look at this. Look at this. Look at this. We have a little red on the screen today, the color we have not seen in the stock market in a while. Good morning, Patrick. Yeah, asking Sterling to say good morning. Good morning, Sterling. All in caps. There we go. There we go. What else do we have? Yeah, the FedEx down 11.7% pre-market. Again, hi, Connor. Good morning, Anissa. What caused the slight morning drop? Just think it's overall. I mean, it's not that big a drop. I don't think there's any specific news event that's caused it. I think it's still a slight fallout from FedEx. Good morning, Connor. FedEx macro, yep. Not supporting the soft landing. It is not supporting the soft landing. So, you can't have, again, wanting 6 rate cuts and say it's going to be a soft landing. Because, yes, they could bring down rates because the real rate could come down as inflation eases. And, yes, they could, just to keep the rates intact with where the real rate should be, they'd naturally cut. But that's not 6 times unless we go into massive deflation. So, what else is coming out today? Not much. We had the mortgage stuff out at 6 a.m. Consumer confidence coming out 30 minutes after the cash open. Existing home sales also same time. Then we got an hour after the cash open for stocks, which is not really related to that. But 9:30 Central, we have the EIA crude numbers. And then it's all quiet besides a couple bill auction and a bond auction. Tomorrow really kicks it in for the week. Finalizing the week with the GDP, with the PCE from the GDP, and then Friday, remember the PCE for November. So far, Google restructuring ad sales is up. Everything else is pretty much down except oil continues to march higher. We'll take a look at that. UPS down 3.5% in sympathy with FedEx. Again, if you have major shipping slow down that much, yeah, it's warning something. Comm services, based off of Google, still up. Energy up. Utilities slightly, but then everything else negative. Going into the open to Fed watch still. This is what I'm talking about. 6 rate cuts starting in March. Look, March, May, June, July. 4 cuts by July. So the first half of the year, 4 cuts already. I think the market's nuts, but that's the market. Remember, the market doesn't have to reflect things. It can disconnect from reality for a time. We're still in extreme greed. We are still in extreme greed. So that's where we sit today. As we already talked about FedEx, General Mills was pretty flat. I'm looking to see some of their comments related to something I didn't have anything but see anything yet. Remember Micron after the close, and then the only other big name would be Nike. Well, I guess CarMax is minor, but Nike's the only other thing closing it out, and then there's nothing on Friday. Who else do we have? Good morning, MJ. Wanted to make sure I did not miss the date. I think it's going to be Friday, probably around 10:30 or 11 Central Time. We'll wrap up that this week with that. So if that can work, that's still for people overseas. We should probably be able to make that happen. I might leave the recording up for a little bit, but it won't remain up for long. The show goes on. Coco is still alive. Hey, Coco, the show goes on. Can we look at MU? Just remind me after we get after the markets. What is this I'm seeing after we get after the major futures? What is this I'm seeing? What is this red blip? Is there something wrong with my monitor? Because we're actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 doji. We'll call it 7, 8, 9. We got a little red. Let's see if it finishes red today, though. Finishes red. Again, coming up to the next key area. Let's see here on the, look at this. Look at this. Eked out in the futures, slightly new highs. Slightly new highs, so we can finally take that off. But is there any end in sight? We shall see. We shall see. Price to perfection. Next key area, we stopped at the harmonic yesterday, that 48.22 area. The high was 48.24. 48.53 would be the next key harmonic. I'd go from 48.50 to 48.53. We still don't have any solid pausing bars. I'm seeing if we finally get a pausing bar here, at least the true definition of a pausing bar. Yes, you can have a pausing bar with a green bar, but they are stronger if they are red, with the next bar not touching the high of that bar. How can I participate? Just show up, Christoph. I'm not charging for it. It'll be free. Just show up. Watch for the time to come up. I'll even announce it. So tune in Monday or Friday morning too for the live stream, and then I'll let you know specifically what time. So there you go. It's a gift to everybody. Okay, thanks. If you left it up over the weekend, that would be amazing. Or in Discord. Got to work Friday, Saturday. Don't want to miss the rules. We'll work out something. I can always post it as a unpublished. That's a good idea. I can put up a following link in Discord for the people who are on Discord with the unpublished link. I don't want anybody to miss out. You know what? And I'll work again. And if I don't see something in Discord, I'll post in Discord. But if I don't see something here, you can always reach out to me at support@Path Trading Partners. Okay, and say, hey, I missed it. I'm not gonna. I just don't want to leave it up for everybody who's just going to stumble across it and not even value it. Too many people are looking for something. That's why it's for the people who are dedicated to this channel. That's what it's for. We'll see. We'll see, Chris. We'll see what's going to happen. So let's take a look at the shorter term levels. We're sitting right at the rotation zone. Finally, at least a pullback. The next key area I'm watching is this 47.90, 47.91 area. And then, but there's still no unless it really starts closing below about 47.85, wouldn't even be any short-term technical damage. So if we continue to pull back, that's what I'll look at. If we want to look at the last little run up from the harmonics, from a harmonic standpoint, it'd be 47.75, and that would just be down to 47.56. So you get to close below 47.75 if you even get a pullback that far. Not expecting that today unless something weird comes out, because we still have, it's the GDP and PCE numbers, which are going to be much more important tomorrow and Friday. So we might be in for a choppier day, and it could pull back a bit. Also, if you do, this is a great little place with this pausing bar. Let me update this, by the way. Sorry, that was slightly off. With this pausing bar, and just see where the little harmonics take us. So if it is to bounce off the 8 and then gets through the the Asian session highs, I'd be looking for 48.34. That would be the key area. What's the Discord there? I offered a time when people could join the Discord server where a bunch of people discuss stuff. So if you're not in it, don't worry about it. And if you want to tune in, remember, if you need to get a hold of me like, hey, I wanted to tune into the percent B and I couldn't make it or something came up, just send me an email, support@PathTradingPartners. I'm not going to make sure anybody's left out. No, the cash market new high is more important. That's a good question, Richard. That's a good question. So, NASDAQ finally breaking down a bit from the wedging pattern, the wedgie. Which means if you have to redraw, remember, if you're doing the wedge pattern and you have to redraw the upper line, you have to recopy it or clone it as the new target area because the slope changes. So there is a slight breakdown from that and the 4-hour close below that. So we should continue to see a pullback in the NASDAQ. But if you take a look at this, even if it pulls back to the bottom of the wedging pattern, look, if you take a look at that in the full context, that would just be another channel that's formed without any major technical damage. See, and that would only take it back to even the area of the daily 8 EMA. So that would be the full target area. Now, it's hard to give out a number since it's rising. That's why people should learn to do this. But that's the best way to do wedges. It's a reversal of a move like this. You see here on the left-hand side that wedges up, that you have the two lines, the upper resistance line and the lower support line converging. And there can be redraws. So, but on any rally based off this, on any rally here, I would use harmonics with the first key area would be 17,004, so it would be 17,000, then 17,014 on a closing basis for a retest of the highs, and which would not technically invalidate the wedge. It would just make it into a double top. The next key area I'd watch for support before the wedge. Now, one of the challenging things if you're trying to trade a wedge to the downside like this, we're looking at about 16,920. Because remember, if this goes sideways, the target rises. All right? So remember that. So you can't go, oh, well, look, the target is down around 16,790. No, because here it could be at 16,825 if it takes longer. So that's a challenging thing with trading a wedge. But I'd really pay attention to that bottom of that 4-hour rotation zone. Sorry, just giving a little extra teaching today. We'll get through stuff though. Dow, again, ooh, what is this? A red bar. A red bar. I'm just watching this. This is not a wedge, by the way. This is just a channel. But that's what I'm watching. If you see here, it's pretty much a well-formed channel line. I'm keeping an eye. First little support will be right around 37,750 to 37,770, and then about 3,700. Below 3,700, it could get a little interesting. To the upside, major resistance 37,940, 950 area, and then it would be, this 3,800. So Russell still, this is still double top in place. Okay. Key area I've been watching on the pullback in the Russell is about 2018, and then the 1994 is the key low. 1994.1 for a closing basis. All right. Targets 1968, 1955, 1942. VIX, not much, still holding that 1235 to 1250 area. I have to get below that to get anything really to the bullish besides a choppy market. Right now, I'm keeping an eye on 1270 for any major pullback or more. When I say major pullback, I mean more trending downside action. The DAX, we still, let's see here, still technically in play. First key area of support, though, I'm looking at about 16,840, and then the gap fill with the futures roll. That was the roll move, not just a normal gap, to about 16,750. To the upside, just take a look at if it closes back above 16,978, which you see it was rejected there earlier in the European opening session. So that's really key there. The notes, then it looks like a double on the daily, but this is just a horizontal channel with a little breakup. You can still it's not as, the probabilities aren't as good, but you can still, if you were looking at pullback targets, utilize this. I'd be watching that daily 200, but that just takes it right into there, and it's lower probability since against the rotation zone. If it does break above 112.28, 113.07 and a half, the yield, not much. There's not a, you can't use any double on that. It's just too big a mess. But the key level is about 396 on the yield basis. If it drops down, you got 383 and then 378. 10-2s, not much. Still holding this very, very key support areas, minus 46. Other than that, not much. The dollar index, this has not pulled back enough to be a double. So the only thing I'm still watching is a key close below above 102.20. Other than that, I'll be waiting patiently. So that would be going into the daily rotation zone and then a clear path move with a gap left behind, which would be a first key target. Crude, marching on, testing the 62.5. Remember the percent beat buy from last Thursday. And still, it got rejected Monday, Tuesday, and so far climbing up, but has not closed above this 75.14. That is the key area. If it do continue and follow through with a close above there, 76.63 with the declining 50, and then the 87.5 and a reconnect with the 200 and a major prior resistance area are the upside targets. So keep that in mind. 73 is key support. Gold, not much. There's nothing much to talk about yet with gold. Still, we're still running with the percent B. That's about it. Yen, not much. Inside bar from yesterday's. So I'm just waiting for more stability to come in there. Euro, we have a, now this is interesting because you do have a weekly double still. See, weekly double. And you have a little mini daily double within that, but they might never trigger. The thing I'm watching, though, is if it closes below 108.88, 108.88, which could be a pullback. I would not ignore this first target area of about 108.40, though, with the 200 there. That's the only thing. If it breaks out to the upside, you can use your harmonics here, but I would just use the retracement when the forward or reverse harmonics. I would just use this 110.68 area as a key target if it does manage to break, but it needs a close above 110 to follow through. Pound, nothing just yet. Spiders, we have a slight gap down this morning, 473.60 area. We're opening 473.65. 474.84 would be to the gap fill, and then 476.28. This is still technically a double, but it would have to close below 467.43. Until then, until then, the key areas, you still have a gap left behind to 471.97. So that would be a first key target. Then 471.17, then 470.24 on a closing basis. Then you have another gap left behind before to 469.33. Those would be all the targets I would utilize for a pullback. Any rally, it would just be for the gap fill. But a minor target could be right around 474, which is a 12.5% harmonic. If it does, again, break out through yesterday's highs, 476.28. The Qs, looking what the gap might trigger, but it needs a close on the wedge on the Qs, so I pay more attention to the futures. But the key area first would be 407.10. And then I'd use the same thing as the futures with the pullback harmonics. So I would 406.78, 405.71, 404.64. If it breaks above yesterday's high, next major target area is until 411.41 to 412.21. Well, thank you, Chris. Russell, you're saying the Russell on the all-time high next year. Okay. Thank you, MU. Let's just jump to MU right now. The Micron going into earnings today, closing above the 62.5. So this was done. Upside target 85.95. Then if it continues 92.20, you have gaps left behind. The key area you don't really want this to drop below is about 78 with an earnings miss or an earnings disappointment. 78 would be key, but there's still no major bearish pattern. There's no major bearish pattern. See, because even if that turns into a double, that's just a minor pullback pattern. So it's 78 would be the key support level I'd be watching on any downside miss. And then on the upside, 85.95. Hey, Jake. Thoughts on, oh boy. Let me just look at stuff. I see your comments, Sterling. Tesla did not technically close above the 62.5. Just missed it yesterday. Slight gap down pre-market, and there is still a minor double. If you get a 4-hour close below 251.36, could be a pullback all the way back to 244, but the levels are 247.67, 246, and then 244 roughly. We're coming in just above the 200. So that's where that sits. NVIDIA still be interesting to see this NVIDIA with a still that pretty perfect double top at this point, but a long way from triggering, so nothing's changed with that. Let's take a look at what did you want? PDD. Thoughts on PDD longer term? It has closed above the 62.5 retracement from the all-time high, looking for an entry on a pullback. And it has entry on a pullback. Let's see. Oh boy, huh. What would be a good entry on a pullback? Well, it depends if you're going all in with a position or legging in. Let's see. I mean, as long as this does not close below 135, anywhere, I mean, a wonderful entry would be about 135 to 140, somewhere in there, depending on here. Let's just see. I'd prefer something right around about, let's see, about 140, 150, if it could get back that far. Or I'd watch for a stronger intraday reversal pattern, like a intraday 4 hour or 1 hour bottoming pattern. Where the key line of sand is if you get that close below 133, then I'd be watching for a stronger pullback because it's really extended. But even a connection, see, you remember you have that gap left behind. So the key line in the sand is this 133.50. I would not want it to drop below because that would then take it into the weekly rotation zone. All right. So I would personally, can't tell you exactly what to do because of where, don't know everything, all the normal disclaimers, but I would keep a tighter stop on any pullback entry and keep minimal risk. And try to get something in there. And then if it, drops below that, I'd be out and then watching for a bigger pullback to reestablish a position. Looking at the futures. Key area I'll be looking going into, well, it's open right now, but key area I'll be looking going into is about this 48.14, 48.15. We start breaking above that, you have an advanced clear path up there. You see this is the lunchtime support yesterday, pre-market support this morning. So now if we start breaking down below about this 48.07 with any momentum, you're into a clear path below with 48.03 and then this 47.97 to 4800 to the downside. Tick, let's just see where this, that's not a real negative tick though. So keep an eye. As long as this minus 600 holds, I'd again be watching for that key support right here. If it rolls over, then that's the only way I'd be looking for that 48.0350. NASDAQ 1 hour double. That is a weak double, but yes, you can. I still better on that 15-minute, which looks like it's triggered. So if you're looking for the upside targets, 16,992, 16,997, 17,001 are your targets. There you go. With that, I shall talk to everyone later. Hope everyone has a wonderful trading day. Bye for now.